That's going to change. We're going to have our own people's currency soon and people's sovereign mediums of exchange. They're in the pipeline, but until then, it's all hands on deck. You get a rapid response team, and if the police turn up, you quote, in fact, bear with me, I've got it here. I've got, as well as the school protection card, I've got the personal protection card here. It doesn't actually give you the quote. It just makes it's the abusive possession, section 26. There was a program, not program, but a video clip on it recently from Merseyside, when the video maker was saying police in Liverpool have gone lawless. Well, the police everywhere have gone lawless. It's not just Merseyside. They're not operating within the law. They're not operating under their oaths or attestations. They are simply corporate policy enforcement agents. Teachers are curriculum, government, corporate policy, curriculum delivery and enforcement agents. We have to redefine everything. So going back to the original question.
It's yet to go to court. I've got a court date. It hasn't been repossessed yet.
It hasn't been repossessed yet. Well, only go to court if you've already won. Because you won't win in court. That's all I can tell you. No chance. You might be able to get an adjournment for if you've got a really strong reason, if you've got vulnerable people there. You know, there's certain tricks you can pull. But if you're looking at the long game that Pete talked about, it's all about. You see, when you get frightened of visits by the mob, and if more than 2 people turn up, that's a mob, and that's already aggravated trespass. And you are fully justified, there's case law going back hundreds of years, in defending your castle using reasonable force. It doesn't matter what their paperwork says. Their paperwork will normally be forged anyway. What they rely on is the occupant, if that's the right word, the man or woman in the house, being frightened into, you know, when they come mob-handed, being frightened into compliance and just leaving through the front door or the back door. And in equity, that is called not being vigilant. That's not called, equity aids the vigilant. And the vigilant, just as the vigilant stay in their car when threatened with clamping, right? They can't do anything when you stand by your rights, stand on your rights. Your rights are always superior, but you have to stand on them. So that means you sit in your car if it's clamped, they can't take it anywhere, and you stay in your home if it's threatened with the bully boys. You can get rid of the police using section 26 of the Criminal Justice and Courts Act 2015 because it's not a police matter. So you can ask them, you can do a neat little trick on them, which I've only just included in my notes. You can ask them if they're here to keep the peace. And they can't win. You've got them in a double bag. If they're never going to say no, because it eventually is prima facie evidence of a crime that they can go down for 14 years. So they're going to say yes. And now if they say yes to being there to keep the peace, that means, well, you can now ask them, well, what evidence do you have that there has been, or is about to be, or likely to be, a breach of the peace? And if they don't have any, and they won't have any, that's why it's so important for whoever you are, whether it's rapid response or whether it's just you in your skin, you have to stay calm. No swearing, no effing and jeffing, because there's an ancient tribe called the Toltecs that led to the Aztecs. And one of their main tenets of wisdom is you don't take anything personally. The police are not coming for you. I mean, I had a visit to the door by agents, gas agent. It wasn't repossession, it was gas with the police. And one thing I didn't do, I didn't take it personally because this is a war. You know, you don't stand on in the trenches and a grenade drops at your foot and say, right, who threw that? Right? I'm going to have you. Right? It's not. This is a war against humanity. So if we take things personally, we're just in ego. And if we're in ego, we're not fighting the war. Right? Because you haven't conquered your own ego. That's the first world war to fight, is you conquer your own ego. only then are you fit and able to step onto the front line. The other thing I was going to mention is health. Nobody is stretchered onto the front line. You're only stretchered off it, right? So to be on, and everyone, I'm going to assume, make an assumption that everyone here today is a front liner in some way. An activist or an organizer or an influencer or someone, maybe none of the above, but about to step into something like that. So health is paramount, mental health in particular. Okay, so because you've got to be able to stand firm, because to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 black flashing blue lights, it's so intimidating, it's incredible. But we have to feel that fear and know that we're carrying the light and the truth within us. And the knowledge that people like myself and Pete and Dean and Callie give out, we're just giving you the tools so that you can stand with those tools in your strength and give better, because they've got nothing. Because once they realise that you're not afraid, and B, you know more about the law than they do, or that they pretend to know, you're winning. Yeah. No happy outcomes are ever guaranteed, because you could have 10 psychos turn up, right? Yeah, but as long as you're videoing it, 10 psychos could go to jail for 14 years. Yeah.
Is there any way to fight it through paperwork before?
I'm sorry?
Any way to fight it through paperwork?
I don't believe so, no, because you're up against the bank. The bank can't be wrong in public. Their court is a public arena, and the bank cannot be wrong because it collapses the entire system. It's a domino effect. So you have to be wrong in their eyes. If you're right in their eyes, then the entire globe collapses, which it will do anyway. But they won't let you collapse it.
Can I just jump in here? That's why it's a numbers game, right? So if it's just one of you that's trying to challenge your mortgage, you're not going to win. If there's 100,000 of us in the sovereign fraternity challenging our mortgages, we do win. All right? So we've all got to work together. Go on, then.
So did we answer that question?
Well, what I feel is going to happen is it will go to court and they'll get the order to be.
Yeah, they will.
And
Yeah.
they'll get a few months or a few weeks to vacate.
Yeah, a couple of months maybe.
A couple of months.
By the way, also, it's not the property, it's an address.
Yeah.
If we've got time, I can go into this and I'll explain what's going
I've
on.
heard all mortgages are illegal, so can't I fight them through the paperwork anyway?
Yeah.
So we've got a question here, go ahead.
Yeah, go on, question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a question, but it's to add to what you were saying. I'm very heavily involved with the Banner Man, if you've seen him on YouTube, who promotes the rapid response. And this group is growing in number throughout the country. And basically, we're fighting the system of the banks repossessing properties, and I've been involved in about 6 of them up to now, where we go along and we protect the property, or we take it back, or we prevent the bailiffs setting foot on the property at all. This is all very successful, and the police are getting one hell of a good education. If you have a look at Bannerman, B-A-N-A-M-A-N, it'll be a tremendous education for you all. And I would suggest that each and every one of you go home and start a small community in your area, get like-minded men, with balls, to come together and defend the locality against these tyrants. Now that's what I'm doing in Southport. I'm also involved with a group at Waterloo, and I'm very much involved with the rapid response and doing all that. But my feeling is, and someone said before, stop feeding the beast. Right now, I think, this is my personal view is the main beast that we want to kill and starve to death is the local councils.
Yes.
And if we can, between us, come up with a really good home-hitting leaflet, which we can go into our own towns and distribute our own leaflets about why you should not be paying council tax. That will stop the people paying the council tax and bring the people together and wake up one hell of a lot of people. Because what's the Achilles heel? The Achilles heel is you're helping every one of you not having to pay council tax. Wow! Well, that's a great revelation for nearly everybody, isn't it?
No.
If everybody stops paying the council tax, they are, sorry my French, fucked, aren't they?
Were you referring to the Rapid Response website?
Well, part of that.
Because there is a Rapid Response website, and on that website they give you instant access to the Telegram groups all over the country. And when I get back to Kent, we've got one in Kent, and that's not good enough because Kent is quite big, right? So all the bigger counties should have at least half a dozen. In fact, they should have at least a dozen, to be honest, if it's a bigger county, a dozen Rapid Response teams. And to be part of a Rapid Response team, you mustn't be hooked into the system. So forget the 5-day week. You've got to make yourself available. You've got to be your own boss. You've got to make yourself available at fairly short notice. And it's all, and the system is designed to make you unavailable to self and others, isn't it? So if you're still hooked into the system, ask yourself, why? Why am I letting myself down? Why am I letting humanity down? When I'm being told that I don't need, that taxation is contractual, so I don't need to earn money to pay tax, and bills are contractual, and I don't need to, you know? So we've got to put all these packages together. It's the freedom package. Yeah, we need to untangle ourselves so that we can create the freedom that will mean that we are of use to self and others. It's not rocket science, man.
Can I just jump in here about, sorry mate, the council tax thing before we skip past, because you mentioned leaflets and stuff, right? Yes. Well, the remedy's been done. So if you go on my website, which is thesovereignproject.live, there'll be a button there, a yellow button that says Sovereign Wiki, right? Everyone should use the Sovereign Wiki. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and on there there's a whole load of remedies that you can use. There's a council tax remedy on there for you to use. You can download it. It includes leaflets, templates, and it's a list of crimes that the employees who work for the council tax department are actually committing. So then it's designed, what you're designed is you're supposed to serve notice upon the MP and all this sort of stuff and say, this is what's going on. Council tax is a fraud. We should call it out as a fraud. They can't even get liability orders. They can't even use the court system itself. All right, that's how fraudulent it is. So anyway, just to answer your question, that flyers are done. It's a download. Sovereign Wiki.
Thank you.
All right.
Have you noticed with the
Well, just
Okay.
one more. Just to extend on what David has said, is that there may be a number of you that have stopped paying various things, but the key element of it is that those people that are in rapid response, wherever it may be, is that they are giving up their time to help their fellow man and woman. Now, if there's some of you out here that think, oh, well, I haven't got the time or the energy, if you can't be asked, then why should you expect them to turn up and help you when you need it?
Yeah.
So get out there and help your fellow man and woman.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone should do their part. Go ahead, Richard.
Put it really.
Go ahead, Richard.
I just wanted to add to the point about the flyers and things where anything where you say to people, here is a reason for not doing this, like not paying your council tax. I think this is just my own thing. Rather than trying to convince people of reasons not to do something which is so ingrained, if you offer something else that is better, people I think are like water and will go to the line of least resistance. So if you're offering an incentive rather than, oh God, yeah, but if I do that, there's too many arguments that your friends and neighbours and family will be going, no, you can't possibly stop paying your council tax because it's such a big brick wall. But if there's an alternative to something, I'm not saying I know what that is, but if someone's saying have all this or have a nice ice cream, people will tend to go for the nice ice cream, which is how they manage to sort of poison us all, because we all go for the goodies which we think are goodies. So that's my thought is, you know, we make life very difficult by trying to convince people of things which are so inherently, they've got that cognitive dissonance. And you know, it's like telling my son not to go and get a jab or to listen to his dad. You know, they say it's like, oh, no, I don't listen to my dad. So you offer them an alternative, which is an incentive or something better. Now, I'm not saying I know what that is.
They did that with the jab, didn't they? They gave
Well,
free
yeah.
donuts.
You could have a pizza and,
I've not got clarity. So you're saying that we should say to people, if you don't pay council tax, I'll buy you an ice cream.
2 ice creams with a chocolate whippy and a free boot.
It's supposed to be saving money, not spending money.
Yeah, my point, my point is that if you've got a flyer that says, and people have tried this and I've seen them, and if you're the man in the street and someone says, here, look, this is why, because they're all corrupt and all the rest of it, it's such a big leap for your ordinary day. Because they don't go, oh, they're corrupt, of course they won't pay, because people have been doing it for hundreds of years, paying taxes and all of that. So one has to subtly offer them something else, a different way, so they go, oh, that's not me getting into trouble, that's me doing something which is going to help humanity in a different way. That's all I'm saying.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Right,
good.
okay.
There's a lady, your arm's going to be...
I was just going to answer the gentleman with the mortgage thing, and perhaps the panel could comment. A promissory note.
Yeah, promissory note is a way to go. You know how to do those. You can get into that if you want to know more.
Yeah, go into that.
Yeah.
Do you
We're
want
building
to
one.
talk a little bit about
Okay, promissory notes. Right,
Have you got a
okay.
book about it?
What's that?
Have you got a book?
I'm actually writing a new book,
Okay.
which will be added to this.
20 quid.
20 quid.
Three, yeah. Three for the
Couldn't
price
you
of
make
two.
it 1990?
1998.
1998.
Yeah, 1998. 2 people.
1994. No, 1984.
So I am, well, my series of books is basically a journey. You've got to learn this. You can't learn this in a day, right? You've got to learn this. It's a very long journey. A lot of people have done the 22-week course. I hold a 22-week course. Now they're doing the 17-week masterclass and taking it to the next level, right? So you've got to put aside some time. I would say to the average person, 1 evening a week, and you say, I'm going to use that evening to study this, and you can download the stuff on my internet, my website, and read this stuff, right? Study it. You've got to learn it. I don't want people jumping straight in and going, oh, I can use a promissory note and pay off my mortgage, if you don't understand why, if you don't understand what a promissory note is. So I'm going to briefly explain to you what is going on, okay? So I mentioned before, we don't use money. So what is money? Money is like gold or silver. It has intrinsic value. So a gold coin has no third-party risk. That is the only thing that you can use to buy something, to purchase something. And it's a thing of trade. So if someone's selling a car and I've got a gold coin, I'll take the car, I give them a gold coin, that's a trade, there's no contract going on, and that's it, I'll walk away, it's all done. That's money, intrinsic value, no third party risk. Everyone today is using what is called promissory notes. If you take out any of your notes in your pocket, it will say Bank of England, and on it, in tiny little lettering, it will say, promise to pay the bearer the sum of. Okay, this is a promise to pay. Now, the thing is, with the Bank of England note, it says on it, Bank of England, that means it's the Bank of England that's promising to pay, not you. This is one of the reasons you don't own anything. It's the Bank of England that's promising to pay. So you go, okay, then where does the Bank of England get the credit from to cover the promissory note that everyone is using? Well, it comes from you. I won't go too deep, but it is in my latest book. This is all. I'm not trying to sell books, but you can download this information for free if you want to. But we go into the SDKV Trust and the Foreign Scientist Trust that is operated at the national level. I won't go too deep into that. But basically, you become the creditor. The Bank of England takes your credit, all right? You're the creditor, and your individual trust, each and every one of you, has a trust fund that's worth at least $100 million minimum, okay? We can get into that if you want to know more. So the way it works is the Bank of England takes your credit, you're the creditor, and then it takes that credit at the national level, that's the second jurisdiction, it's then converted into what is called the public credit, where members of the public use it. It's the third jurisdiction. This is the pauper jurisdiction. You've got type P on your passport. The P stands for pauper. It means you're not allowed to own anything. You're not allowed to use money. You're only allowed to use promissory notes. And you're only allowed to use promissory notes from the Bank of England. Okay? If you've taken out a mortgage, you pay stamp duty, and you go, what's that about? Because what the mortgage company is doing is they're taking your credit, they're doing the paperwork, they're stamping it, and they're turning it into a public credit that you can then go off and buy the house with. That's what stamp duty is called. They still call it stamp duty today, and they charge you for that. Now, getting back to promissory notes. Governments and the Bank of England are using your credit, you're the creditor, and creating promissory notes within this third jurisdiction called the pauper. This is the pauper jurisdiction. This is the good stuff. Using their own legislation and the bills of exchange, if you read it, you'll notice that all registered businesses that's part of the UK corporation are obligated to take promissory notes. They have to. So this is another thing that you can do when you go into a shop and say, we don't take cash. And they go, oh, you don't take cash? Cash. Okay, thank you, I'm taking a coffee then because there is no debt. Right? Because they are obligated to take the promissory note. They have to take it. Now this is the good stuff. They have to take the promissory note of the creditor. You're the creditor. Right? So what, now you can't do this to directly pay your council tax and all the rest of it because you're going to be dealing with plebs who doesn't understand this. But the taxman has to take it, courts have to take it. So if you go to court and all the rest of it and there's a fine to pay, you can just turn up and go, okay, fine, I'm the creditor, not a problem, write it out on a piece of paper, promissory note, what is it, £10,000? I'll tip you, let's make it 15, there you go, paid, thank you. You're the creditor, you can create your own promissory notes, okay? And that's how it works, but that is the basic version. It's much more complicated than that. So hopefully you understand how promissory notes work.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
You said we don't own anything.
Correct.
Because it was the Bank of England's money we're using.
Correct.
But then you also said it was our money that the Bank of England is doing to. So do we not actually own it then?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
No, now I'm just.
No, you're right.
When I first asked the question.
You're right. Because we're still the creditor.
So we do own everything.
Yes. Well, not quite. Not quite. Right. Okay. The thing with the system, all right. There's not a straightforward question and then a straightforward answer. It's different shades of grey. All right. So
50?
Probably 50. Probably 50.
Did you read the book?
No.
So, okay, let's get to the fact that you don't own anything. But this is the good stuff. This is the good news, okay? The legal system, as I mentioned before, deals with legal titles, right? Titles of dead entities that don't actually exist. So if you look at your deeds, you think, oh, okay, I own my house, I pay my mortgage off, I've got a deed. No, try reading it. If you read your deed, more than likely, it'll be a title, like Mr. Your name will be written in all caps. So straight away, that's not you. That's your birth certificate. Your birth certificate owns the deed. Then read the deed some more. Let's see what it says on that deed. You've got to read the language, see what the words are saying. It might say statutory resident. When you go, well, statutory resident? Well, a resident is someone who does not own the property, but uses it for a place of business. And statutory means statute code. You're operating in that jurisdiction. So a statutory resident, you ain't the owner. Then carry on reading, you might say lot. So you've bought a lot, okay? What does that mean? If it's written in all caps, LOT, that's an acronym. Lease of title. They're telling you, it says, lease of title, you've got a lease of title deed, that's all you've got. Or lot, LOT, written in title case English, what have you bought? You've bought a lot number in a survey. It's worthless. Here's the thing. This is the problem, it's the mindset thing, it's the mindset. There's so many slaves out there. And I will ask this question of people, okay, and they will answer this. And I'll say to them, do you own your house? And they go, yeah, I own my house, yeah, not a problem, yeah, okay, I do, yeah, I do. Okay, right, you know that extension you put on the side of your house, did you get planning permission? Yeah, I did, yeah, I got planning permission. And I go, love of God. If you have to get permission to build on your land and extend your house, guess what, you don't own it, do you? Because you have to get permission to do something. If you've got to get permission to do something, you don't own it. You're getting permission from a higher authority. Someone higher up has authority over you. And they have a higher title than you. All right, so the deed that you're looking at is worthless. Oh, the deed will probably have an address on it. It's not the land. It's an address. So like 69 Shakespeare Avenue. And then there'll be a postcode, H2, 123, whatever, right? That's the post box. That's what it is. It's not the land. Now there is a jurisdiction of that address that is placed upon the land. Now there is a trick. Rich people know how to do this, and it's happening quite a lot in America now. They'll figure this out. So you might see a very really rich posh area, and you drive down, you notice that the houses have names, big gate, and there's a post box on the outside. That's where the jurisdiction ends. It's not the house. Okay? Does everyone understand how that works?
Yeah.
Right? Now your house should be named by you. Now here's one of the rules of commerce, the 12 hidden rules of commerce. He who creates controls. If I control something, I can change it, which means I can change the name of my house. Can you change the name of your address? No, because it ain't yours, is it? It's theirs. It's a post office. That's all it is. So what you can do is you name your house. That's my house. That's your family name. Use your family name, not surname. You name your house. That's mine. I'm making claim to it using affidavit. The post box is outside. That's the address. It's used for postal services only. So that's what the big scam is. When these banks are trying to foreclose on the property, they're not. They're foreclosing on the address. And the average person can't tell the difference. And they just hand the keys over. You acquiesced. You agreed. Because you didn't know. Now, I do have a remedy. I'm going to quickly show you this card. We now have technology where we can put things on the blockchain using an NFT card. Very powerful technology. And what this means is you can claim everything back using affidavits. This is your car and all the rest of it, your house and all the rest of it. Using your authority, using your affidavits, creating your own deeds. You're the creator of it. We can digitize that and place it on the blockchain using this card. Little sovereign project. This is the first prototype. It's on the blockchain. So someone says, how do I know your paperwork is legal or lawful? It's on the blockchain. There you go. Check it out. And anyone with a phone can scan it. The details come up and then they can verify it. And if more and more people start using this stuff, that's it. This is how you get your freedom back. You get a house back, car back, and all the rest of it.
Is this on your website?
Not yet. We're still developing it. The sovereign project, like I say, we are developing all the remedies. But this is the problem with me trying to tell you the remedies. You have to understand the question first. You've got to understand how the system works to understand the remedies, then you can get your freedom. You cannot get a laudable title from the system or the legal system. People keep going, oh God, it's so frustrating. People say, oh, I can't get a laudable title in Scotland or England or the UK. Of course not. They're corporations. You're operating in a corporate jurisdiction. Right? So you've got to stop doing that. Scotland is not the land, it's a corporation. If you want a laudable title, you have to take it as sovereign. I say so in my dominion. That's how it works. All right? Don't go looking for it. You can't get your freedom using the legal system. I mean, there's so many people in the freedom movement, they don't even know what freedom means. Free in my dominion. Freedom. That's what it means. Okay? So
Not freedom.
Freedom, yeah, the plebs out there, they have freedom. Because they think it's given to them by the legal
Your
system.
deed, your house deed, whatever you call it, is that a contract?
It's a pseudo contract. The reason being is there's no second signature on it, and it's fraudulent, and the paperwork is all written in legalese.
So if it's a contract, pseudo or otherwise,
Yes.
has it not had to have had those various 4 different agreements, which means it's null and void? So even
Null
if
and
they're
void.
pretending you that actually you don't own anything, then they've conned you, so therefore it's fraud.
Bingo!
So you do own it.
You own the bricks and mortar, but you haven't claimed it yet.
Yeah.
Remember, you haven't claimed it. No one's
So
claimed
how
it.
do you claim it?
You claim it by using your authority, using an affidavit. So here's one thing I try and teach people is about the most powerful document on the planet is an affidavit. Why? Because it's yours. Right? Talk about it in a book, not selling books. But it says, it explains what an affidavit is. Here's the thing, all this stuff, all this knowledge has been forgotten. Right? You've been brainwashed to accept house numbers. Only the plebs have a house number. The rich people have house names. By the way, the word house means family. Right? It comes from an old German word called San, meaning family. So what it's supposed to be, your name, this is I think you spoke about it a couple of days ago in one of your little monologues about the name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? The name deception. Your name is given to you by your mother and father. That's your first name. Okay? Then you should have a family name, comes from your father. Okay? That family name should have meaning. It should mean something. It should stand for something. And as a man, you're supposed to carry that on. So your name is supposed to mean something. So if people hear your name, they go, oh yeah, sound guy. He knows what he's done. Don't mess with him. That's what it should stand for. But you've all been tricked into accepting surnames and forenames and all the rest of it, all right? As a man as well, you're supposed to have your seal, all right? A man's seal, because that's his jurisdiction. As a man, you're supposed to have your own court, your own law, your own jurisdiction, your own dominion, all right? All this has got to come back. You've got to bring all this back. And if you have a woman within your dominion, she's protected by my name. This is why, this is how it works. This is how it works. Here's the thing. That's exactly right. Exactly right. This is, okay, people have forgotten this about marriage.
You don't have to be married because that's a contract again, so...
Yes,
it's
but
a
not...
marriage, isn't it? A marriage, a livery term.
Not state marriage,
We're not
an
married.
affidavit by, a marriage by affidavit. So a state marriage is a corporate merger. You're marrying the corporation. This is, I mean, marriage license, people, come on. License means asking permission. You're asking permission from the government to marry it. You wasted your time. So, by the way, it's incredibly dangerous to go state marriage. Don't do a state marriage. Don't be a registered keeper. We can get into that if we've got time. Very dangerous. So you do an affidavit of marriage, and the woman takes the man's family name. I'll get into this, right? No, it might be old-fashioned, but this is how it used to work for thousands of years, right? This is how it works. This is how it works. Everyone's forgotten this. So, the way that the woman is protected, as she is a maiden, right? Maiden means unmarried, okay? So she's a maiden, she is protected by her father. So let's just say it's Al Capone. Okay, so you got Al Capone. Do you think Al Capone, do you think anyone is going to mess with Al Capone's daughter? No, because they know the name, don't they? But not going to mess with that one. So the daughter is protected by her father through the name, the house, the family, okay? Now, when a man wants to step up and say, I want to marry your maiden, and she becomes a fair maiden, she's reached the age she can now marry. Now, the man is supposed to say to the father and say, it's my intention to ask your daughter hand in marriage, right? So he has to get the blessing, and the father says, Al Capone goes, yes, you can, not a problem. Then, this is how it works. This is the time when the man submits to the woman. This is the only time he does it. And by the way, the woman gets the ultimate decision. This is why he gets down on one knee. Everyone's forgot this. You get down on one knee because the man is submitting and asking, do you want to marry me?
Could you demonstrate?
I'm not doing it! Not doing it.
Please. I'm getting quite excited.
So the man gets down on one knee, I'm not doing it. This is when he submits. So he gets low, he lowers himself to the woman, so the woman then makes the decision. She has the ultimate say. Ultimate. So these feminists go, oh, it's sexist. No, it isn't. If the woman says yes, great. Now he stands up. Okay. They get married. By the way, does everyone know why she wears white on her wedding night?
She's a virgin.
Yes. Most would be go, oh, it should be grey actually. You know. No, black, yes. But yes, so she's supposed to be white because she's supposed to be a fair maiden and supposed to be a virgin. So anyway, the marriage goes ahead, affidavit of marriage, which is then written in the family Bible, which is all forgotten about. And now what's happened is that man has now taken protection and put his protection on that wife. And of course, children. She gets second title of the house. He gets first. Why does he get first? Because he is willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. He's literally saying, I will die to protect you. That's why he gets first title. And that's why a woman, a decent woman, is happy to follow a good man. Okay? All this is forgotten about. And the man gets his shield, his seal, protection, and all the rest of it. And we've got to go back to that. Forget all governments and all this state marriage nonsense. All right? But that's how it works.
Hey, can I ask
Yeah.
something? You were talking about affidavits.
Yes.
And there's some controversy around Baron David Ward's
Affidavit, yes.
affidavit because he lost his house and everything. So
Yes.
there's quite a lot of...
He was mixing jurisdictions.
Okay.
Right, you can't do this.
Yeah,
You've got to understand.
I
Go ahead.
that's like, yeah, Baron David. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, those stand
The
up.
Baron,
I'll sit down.
I studied under the Baron and he taught me how to do commercialised liens. But the difficulty is, as people know, because it's in his course, Do it, it's very good. When the power of an affidavit, yeah, is a very powerful tool, because in commercial terms, a commercial maxim is an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. And then what we do with our court of record is we create a lien. What the Baron came up against is, because obviously we know that the United Kingdom Limited is a corporation, that we're dealing with corporations, but the Baron refused to go and get the affidavit notarised, right? Because he actually did commercialise the liens under the UCC for a while, but he refused to bow down to the system. So everything that he did was correct and right and lawful, but to the point where, as we know, you can, under the doctrine of notices and equity, we create our court of record, but we have to put the affidavit onto the public record to be able to enforce it and to give it teeth. And he fucking refused.
Yeah.
Because he says, why should I go to a pumped up private solicitor to tell me, no. Because he was a baron. And the baron came from the word barrowman. And a barrowman recognised no authority above him, so he wouldn't even play in their game. So unfortunately, what occurred is, like say with jurisdiction, when they came for his house, because he refused to pay council tax, and there's a great lien that he did on a woman called Miss S. Pye, and saying a notice of a liability order isn't a liability order, yeah? It's just a piece of paper saying liability order, as we know. So he did a very funny commercialised lien on Miss S. Pye, but unfortunately what happened was, they then put a charge on his property, and when that charge, when they came to sell the house, because unfortunately the pressure of him taking on the system for so long and for free, he gave everything up for it. Unfortunately, he split up with his wife, and then they came for the house, because of the charge. Because once a council tax bill adds up over a certain amount, and that's basically what they did. So his half of the house went when the house went. So unfortunately, that was the story of that. But yeah, I got to meet the man, and he had a great grasp on a thing called Boolean grammar. He understood the system, but unfortunately, like I say, in honour, and what a great guy, he refused to bend any knee to it. He refused to acknowledge it, but in not doing that, he couldn't enforce the liens.
So when you say you take an affidavit and you put it onto the public record,
Yeah.
how do you take your affidavit and put it on the public? Where is this public record that you put it on?
Yeah, at the court. Yeah.
So do you go to court?
You would hand the affidavit, you put it on the court record basically, so that when if you get to go into a courtroom, you can you put it
But
on
could you, if you've written your own affidavit about
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah,
can you just turn up to court and just say, I'd like to just,
file
not without
that's
any,
the word.
you have to
Yeah, file it, yeah.
Yeah, you file it so that you can bring it onto the record.
later on.
Yeah, because the court of record that's your court. The doctrine of notices in a historical perspective evolved because the courts became overrun. If you had an issue or a problem, so that you could create private action. So like Pete said, you're not going to go for the corporate entity. Court means dead, or it means speak. The dead can only speak to the dead, yeah. But what we do is in private action, these men and women are hiding behind these corporations, behind these companies, and as Richard's guest, Gary Waterman, was it? They're not even registered properly, and they're under shell companies. So it's all a farce and it's all a fiction. But what we can utilise with an affidavit, which is a very, very powerful tool, is we create our own law. So when that affidavit is unrebutted, and they would have to rebut that, the person that you are doing the action on a point-to-point basis, and when they don't do that, because they have to sign it, right? But these living men and women hiding behind these corporations, they're never going to sign anything. And the late great Baron David Ward taught me, nothing's ever fucking signed. Yeah, because they don't want to take the liability. Under penalty of perjury, yeah?
Can you put the 12 presumptions, can you do
Yes.
the same?
Yeah, well the 12 presumptions of law, that was in the Baron's affidavit as he called the system out, because as we were saying, the whole system relies on presumptions and assumptions.
And you can put that on the public record through the court?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's
So
it,
this is the
you
power of
mentioned
the-
about using a notary, so which system
Yeah.
is it, can you just explain?
Lovely.
Yeah.
I've written my affidavit, here it is, whatever my truth is. I'm a bald bloke with glasses who does a
Yeah.
YouTube channel, that's my truth. And anybody else who challenges that gets a punch in the face.
Yeah,
And so,
right, yeah.
so I've got my paperwork with that all written
Yeah.
on it. I've signed
Yeah.
it or autographed it, I've
Yeah.
thumbprinted it, I've put the heel of my shoe on it, and I've
Yeah.
elbowed it. All of that. A bit of head grease as well. And so
Yeah.
I'm about to go to the public court.
A notary public is different to a public notary, and that's a bit of a trick that they do as well. So you want a notary public, not a public notary, and anything that is statutory is different.
So it sounds like, and
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, you have a choice of either going to the court and filing it,
Yeah,
or you go to a notary or the public notary.
You do both.
you do both. Yeah.
So you have two affidavits of the same thing, signed twice.
Yeah, one, basically you're going to take your affidavit, which is a statement of truth, so it's your truth. It tends to be quite biblical, so you want to get it witnessed. So always in biblical terms, it's, out of the mouth of two or more, yeah. So then what you're going to do with your affidavit, which you are swearing, it's your truth. Remember, truth is very subjective. So this is why they get you in a courtroom to say, do you promise to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? But you can't tell the truth, you can only tell your truth, because it's subjective. So that's how they get you on perjury in a courtroom, because you can't tell the truth, it doesn't exist. So you tell your truth, so you put your truth into an affidavit, which means affirm to David. It means quite a few other things as well. And then what you would do is take it to a notary public to witness it, because you, under penalty of perjury, are saying, this is my truth. Now you give them 30 days to rebut every point in the affidavit, and we know that they can't, because these corporations are all acting fraudulently. So they have to rebut each point, yeah, which they're never going to do. And they have to rebut that with an affidavit of their own and sign it. But they're never going to do that.
Sorry, I'm a bit slow on a few things.
Yes, no, you're right.
So and I'm hoping that this is helpful.
Yeah.
So when you say it's a statement of truth,
Yes.
It's not about a case that's happening to you, is it? I mean, am I just...
It's a fact.
Am I saying, I'm Richard, I live here, I do this, these are my parents, these are my kids, this is what I thought I bought, this is
Yeah,
blah,
so
blah, blah.
so like, as an example, I'll just say, like, I deal in debt. So say if you're getting loads of demands to settle a debt from a debt collection company, etc., then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all their fraudulent actions into an affidavit. When it happened, when they sent it, what they did. Yeah, so that's, and I can back that up with my evidence section. Because basically all these letters that we're getting, as the Baron would say, that's evidence of claim, yeah. That's our evidence of their fraud. It's not signed, it's unsigned. We've asked in honour for them to validate their claims. Remember, he who makes the claim has to provide material evidence. So we stay in honour, and then we put everything that we've done in our court of record up to that point, our notices that we've asked for, our data subject access requests, etc., what we've done, what they've sent back. Now we put that into an affidavit. Do you think that the CEO of Moorcroft or PRA is going to do an affidavit and rebut everything point for point and sign it and under penalty of perjury walk into a courtroom? So it's game over. They don't have a deed of assignment, they don't have a notice of assignment, they don't have anything because it's fraudulent. And then we get that notarized, we've created our own law. If it's unrebutted after 30 days, you've just created your own law. And all the judge can do then, because judges can't interfere in commerce, boom, rubber stamp it.
So would you have many, is it possible to have many affidavits on different subjects? It's not like your personal Bible that just says this is me and this is, because when you say a statement of truth, I was thinking it's about who I am, where I've come from, this is how I believe life is, blah, blah, blah.
That's affidavit of status.
Right.
And there's different forms of affidavit.
Yes.
Go on, Pete, do you want to?
Yeah, let me jump in.
Let Pete hop off on the
Now,
different forms of it.
Not selling books, but there is a section. There is a section in the Sovereign Project Handbook that goes through affidavits, right? And it will cover many different types of affidavit, like affidavit of marriage, affidavit of status, and how to use them. Okay. So, like Caddy says, it's like it can be an affidavit of truth, but you can also have an affidavit of fact. So you have to be careful a little bit. If you go into court using an affidavit of truth, then the judge might go, oh, truth, that could be a belief. Oh, belief, you're mentally disabled or something, therefore I'm going to send you to the mental heart. Yeah. So that's what they can do. So try and use an affidavit of fact. So getting into the notary side of things, And there is like notary public, public notary. So a public notary just witnesses the signature, just says, yes, I witness the signature, that's it, okay? And that would be a policeman can do this, a postman can do this, certain postmen can do this, any official, so any official government department can usually do that sort of thing for you. But what you want is a notary public. So we have one as part of the team now. So the Sovereign Project, we actually have a notary on board, and he can help you, and he does things very, very cheaply. If you're a member of the Sovereign Project and use a link on our webpage, you'll get the discount. So normally this notary will charge corporate, it will charge £100 for the visit, if you like, because you get an hour with him, and then he'll charge something like, I think it's £45 per additional document that needs to be notarised. General public could do £75, and I think it's 25, but special deal, we'll do 50 quid, and I think it's £15. So what he'll do is he can notarise it. Now there's only about 760 notary publics within the UK corporation. That's all there are. I think 270 of them do it full time, and our notary does, and the rest are part-time lawyers and part-time notaries. Now, the significance of getting your paperwork notarised by a notary means that it has to be accepted by the court. Now, in other words, so not only is he witnessing the signature, but he's endorsing it as well. So it's like a seal. They put a seal on it, okay, and then it has to be accepted. It's recognised. It can't be challenged. So if you actually go in with the affidavit, it can't get thrown out as hearsay. It can't be challenged because you go, no, I've got the notary stamp on it. What are you going to do about it? Very powerful stuff. But you are operating in their system. It is a system of commerce. That's what you're doing, okay? So you've got to learn the paperwork. It can be a little bit dry, it can be a little bit boring, but once you get past it, once you understand this, it becomes fun.
do you have to have a case against you before you file it on the public? No, you can just use like.
Well, what you've got to do now with anything, this is where people go wrong when they go to court, right? You can't. If you, I mentioned before, if you go into court, it's the paperwork that's important, not what you say. Also, when you go to court, you've got to file your paperwork with the court before you can put it on the record in that courtroom, and that's why you file it. So you can file the affidavit, okay, you get a docket number, and there it is, and after 14 days within the legal system, every single courthouse in the whole planet has a record of your affidavit. So you can walk into a completely different court, and then you can call it up as put it on the record and say, Your Honour, I've got an affidavit of status. There you go, put it on the record 2 years ago. There's a docket number, bring it up. Yeah, there you go, affidavit of status, done. So that's how it works. Now, if you can start learning how to use affidavit. Now, okay, this is mindset stuff. It's not the paperwork, all right, because Dave's also correct on paperwork as well. Don't hide behind paperwork. Don't think, oh, if I do this magic affidavit, I'm going to be left alone. No, it's your authority. Your authority is the thing that's got the power, okay? And you're putting your authority on the paperwork. It's an extension of your authority. By the way, does everyone know what authority means, the word? It means author of. Author of, authority, right? So I am the author of my law using my jurisdiction in my dominion, and I'll put it down on paper. So when you submit notices and affidavits and it doesn't work, don't go, oh, it didn't work, I lost. Get angry. And you go, how dare you? That's my affidavit. And they go, oh, you're serious. Yeah, I am. So it's an extension of your authority, all right? Go ahead, bud.
Would you and your notary accept promissory notes for payment?
we are. Okay.
What kind of promissory notes?
Yes.
Just joking.
No. Here's the thing. In my network, I do know a lot of people now, and I do know some solicitors and all the rest of it, and they want to stay anonymous, and they're waking up, okay? Now, I'm just getting to know this chap called Nigel, right? And we had a private conversation, and I can't divulge what we said, but he is awake to a lot of stuff, and he does not like what he sees within the legal system. He says he doesn't recognise the police anymore, doesn't recognise the court system, right? But yes, I think he's going to help us with promissory notes, but I don't want to push it. I'm working on it.
Peter.
Yes,
I
mate.
think I know Nigel, his surname begins with P.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Can I say his name?
Go ahead, go say the name.
Nigel Pugh?
It is. It is.
I know Nigel, I have Cursby. On the subject of affidavits,
Yes.
I'm in the process of trying to do a private trust,
Yes.
which I'll need a little bit of help with, I think.
Okay.
Can you include an affidavit with that?
You can do anything in a
Would
trust.
it make it more solid or any
Well, it
better?
depends on what the affidavit's about. Now, I
Well,
do know.
affidavit of maybe status or truth or
Oh, yeah.
fact or whichever one would.
Well, it depends for the reason of putting an affidavit in a trust. Because normally a trust, what a trust is what you're doing is it's used for assets. You're putting an asset in there.
Yeah.
You're splitting the title. You become the beneficiary as the grantor, and then you don't own anything because the trust does. Or let's just say the trust has the controlling interest and the equitable title. You just have the use of. That way you can't be touched. So the policeman can't clamp your car because he goes, it's not my car, it's the trust.
These are not the droids you are looking
Yes,
for.
yes, exactly, exactly, yeah.
I think if it comes to a situation
But,
where you have to prove anything, I am the living man who is the beneficiary of that.
The Jedi mind trick.
Statement of fact to verify that as well.
Yes, you could do stuff like that. Now, we do have a trust specialist. In fact, we have two,
Yeah.
part of the Sovereign Project team. So you've got Trina Deacon, and you know Trina Deacon.
Hi, Trina.
She's really good. In fact, she'll be speaking, and you will also be speaking at the Sovereign Conference on 4th of August. All right, so we're putting together 4th of August this year, Sovereign Conference, teas and coffees and all the rest of it. You get a free book with a ticket and all the rest of it. Not trying to sell tickets. But Callie's a guest speaker, and Trina Deacon is also, she's speaking as well, and she's our trust specialist. And I also know Mark Patalik. So he tends to do the global trust for me as well, because we've got members all over in different countries as well. So if you want to know more about them, use the website.
I will be in touch. Thank you.
All right, cool. I've got a question.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, go ahead.
If you want to rebut the 12 presumptions of law
Yes.
through an affidavit,
Yes.
do you have to rebut them individually or
Yes.
do you run individually?
Individually.
Each individual?
Oh, this is a little technique. What you've got to try and do, I try and teach this when I do notices. I teach people how to do notices. Make it bullet points. Yeah, you've got to do bullet points, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, all right? Because what they'll do is, if you try and just write it all down as a giant paragraph, and you just rebut one thing, they rebut just one thing, they will dismiss the rest of the paragraph. Yes, yes. So bullet point it and make it absolutely clear, and keep your rebuttal short as well. Don't need to do long language and long words and all the rest of it. But yeah, bullet point and then throw it all out. So basically the way you can do it is to short circuit the court. Does everyone know that the courts operate as a trust? You all know that? Yeah? Okay, good. So what you can do, you can go in as the beneficiary. And then what you would do is you use your affidavit of status to prove you are the living, breathing, and you're not lost at sea, i.e. maritime law and all the rest of it. That's where the Great Fire of London all came in and all that sort of stuff. And then you would rebut the 12 presumptions of law. Not law, because the legal system doesn't deal in law, it only deals in legal. And then you go in there and say, I'm the beneficiary, and then that speeding ticket that I was going to pay, no, the prosecutor's now going to pay. Get your checkbook out, fella, because I'm the beneficiary. But that's how it works. Tell you, when you learn how the system works, you can have some fun.
So, do we have any other different questions that we have not all?
I'm going to give us a song and dance, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Do a song with that. Do your Thunderbird. SFT.
No, don't do songing and
Do you want to get down on one knee and do the marriage thing?
Oh, mammy!
Whoa.
Supposed to say that, are you?
I've got a question.
Right, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
But
Yeah, you've been answered.
I believe that when I'm talking to friends who come to me and we're talking about things, I advocate two things that they should primarily do. One is find out who you are,
Yes.
and then make the declaration of that you are a sovereign person, and understand that,
Yes.
understand your power. The second thing that I recommend everyone does is form a private trust and put everything in a trust. Then you can breathe, because there's sod all that anybody can do against you.
And maybe have more than one trust.
Yeah, the elites have been using trust to move their assets for thousands and thousands of years. It started in the Crusades. So they would leave all their assets with Bob down the road and say, just look after me land, Bob. But then Bob got quite happy with Jeff's land and thought, I'm having this. So then trust law kind of created and came from there historically. And I think really you know, it is just this remembering, isn't it? It's this like, we have been this seasoned with amnesia really, and it's know thyself, and knowing this land, and also the land is the body, because it's as above, so below, so within, as without, what is it, so within, as without, I can always remember that one. And literally we are, you know, remembering that, you know, what this land is, and this land is Albion, this land is the land of the giants, and remembering our history, because the history that we've been told, again, is a lie. So having this deep knowing that actually this is the Holy Land, Scotland is the Holy Land, Albion is Israel, the tribes came from here, not from there. So they get you looking over there instead of looking over here, and it's that inversion again, it's that, you know, it's the magician's trick. All
Can I just
sleight of hand? Yeah.
Can I just comment? I have a slightly different take on the concept of Holy Land, because I believe that I'm standing in my Holy Land now, and I'm standing in it here, and I'm standing in it here.
Don't fall down that hole.
It's anatomical, isn't it, David?
It makes no sense for me to incarnate into anything other than my Holy Land.
Yeah.
Right. So what this war, this spiritual war is, it's a war on your Holy Land, your Holy Land, not the Holy Land, your Holy Land. And so we're all fighting this war inside our own Holy Land and coming together. All the Holy Lands coming together. Because your Holy Land is something that you are born into and born onto, and you don't take any other Holy Land with you. You don't even take your Holy Land with you. It's your soul that you take with you. But as an alternative to, alternative is probably the wrong word, but for those who prefer to be part of something bigger, and Sovereign Project is one of those entities, if you like. There's something called reconveyance of status, reconveyance of legal fiction status, or reconveyance of the legal name, onto land and soil. So there's land and soil jurisdiction, which I'm personally involved in. So I'm not going to go too much into it now because we don't have time. But that's another option. And in that jurisdiction, we do declaration of political status. So you go from being a UK citizen to being an English county national. And you draw up those papers and you serve them on the Foreign Secretary. When the Foreign Secretary gets notice that you are now an English county national, you are now entitled to own your own car and put your own plates on it, and you will not be surveilled by the cameras, and you will not be charged, you won't be taxed, because you've got foreign exemption. And recently someone called Anna travelled abroad and found that she was given diplomatic status for having served notice on the Foreign Secretary. So it does change things, it makes a big difference. She's now running her own plates, and there's 3 or 4 of us. There's only a few hundred in this country that have done this process. In America it's about 6,000.
You'd think people would leap on it.
Yeah.
Well, because up till now we didn't have the tangible proof that it works, but now it's coming through. And so we expect to be in a deluge, to be inundated soon. So we're working feverishly behind the scenes to get everything shipshape, including, of course, the website. So the website is theenglishcounties.assembly.co.uk. That'll soon be .org, the English Counties Assembly, and we need to populate all 39 counties. We've only populated 2 or 3, so we're well behind the Americans. But even the Americans have not populated all their 50 states. So it will give people an infrastructure that is recognised by the system, and we couldn't say that until recently. It's and it's based on paperwork that is working. And we've all been waiting to see proof that it works. When we've now got that proof.
So you're creating your own jurisdiction, is that the correct terminology?
We are re-establishing ancient jurisdiction.
Okay.
Land and soil, where men were men and women were women.
Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Pete, you've got another way of doing things.
Let me just.
One more thing.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm just going to jump in here. Go ahead.
And so people are doing this in different ways. You're doing something in your way. You're doing something in your way. There's also the military way, the military that's higher above the government as well. So my question is, can all these things be in their own right and in complementary to each other.
But different solutions, different remedies.
Well, there are many ways to skin a cat, and
Yes.
all roads lead to Rome, and it's what's in the heart.
Who wants to skin a cat?
Well, exactly. No, certainly not me. But yeah, but see, the vernacular, they've captured our vernacular. I still find myself saying killing two birds with one stone. Someone said recently, no, David, you're feeding two birds with one hand. I said, thank you. Yes. So, I personally believe that we must do our own thing while we're still in it and on it. But eventually, yes, all these systems will come together. When we actually look around and we realise that the other system, the original matrix, has collapsed, and we're just looking at our system, and then we'll all. To be honest, it's a race for each system to find the way to translate its value into something that's fungible and transferable. We've got something. The banking system won't allow us to convert to fiat. So whichever system finds that transferable value will be the one that ultimately we all come into alignment with. But the point is that it's all about men and women standing in their hearts, finding value inside of themselves, stop chasing the dollar or the pound, make time for themselves and their loved ones, and that's really all that matters. And once you know who you are, whether you call yourself a living man with a soul or a sovereign man, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, as long as you have the same mindset of authority, personal sovereignty, and nobody tells me what to do.
Sit down,
Yeah.
Apart from Richard.
Yeah, Richard's allowed.
It's automatic though. It's automatic.
Authority is AU as well, and AU is gold, and you are the gold that they came to mine, you know what I mean? So it's an energy harvest, as we know what they're doing. And scripture is your script. It's anatomical, it's astrotheological, it's basic instructions before leaving Earth, and that's why it's utilising courts. The courts have to follow it. But if you kind of think of the allegories, it's allegorical. So Jesus overturning the temple, the temples of, the commerce in his father's temple. It was removing commerce from our minds. Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead is about us raising the dead fiction. Jesus walking upon the water, is us walking upon the water of maritime. So again, it's like, when we embody the Christ or that energy, then obviously the eye of Sauron, Frodo chucking the ring in, then the whole thing it's like a Jenga, it's like just pulling one piece. It's like what Pete says, the system is actually extremely fragile, which is why this beast is kicking, The beast of Rome is kicking because bye-bye, it's going bye-bye. So it's super
Can I just say one thing about the English Counters Assembly and these global assemblies? They will have, when numbers are sufficient, their own courts, or we will have our own courts, our own jury courts. So we're bringing back trial by jury, not jury trial, trial by jury. Militia, that doesn't mean military, it means rapid response team. So we will have our own jury courts, trial by jury, rapid response teams, general assemblies, business assemblies. It's going to take time, but if we stick at it, we know that we have no alternative. The system has to come down. It will come down. So what we need is something to instantly take its place. For all those people who wake up one day and their bank accounts have crashed, we need somewhere safe for them to go to, So,
I'll talk you in, Sean.
Just quickly, how important do you think it is to, when you're communicating with this lot, to actually class yourself as an inhabitant? Because the Local Government Act 1888 says that under corporation, the local government will be responsible for all the duties and liabilities of the inhabitants of the county of such a council. So if you actually class yourself, how important do you think it is to actually, when you're communicating with this lot, say, I'm actually an inhabitant?
Okay, I can answer this. Okay. Let me just talk about the dangers of legal titles, right? The thing with a title, you should never accept a title unless you created the title. Because if you create the title, you can then determine what it means. So, inhabitant is their title. I would say to you, never ever accept one of their titles. However, you can use the system against them, and you always put the burden of proof onto them. And one of the things you should do is resident. So if they say residents pay council tax, you go, okay then, you've got 30 days to provide evidence that I'm actually a resident. You can't do it. Or occupier and all the rest of it. Now, one of the things that people fall into a trap is they will quote legislation and then apply it to themselves. That's a big mistake, all right? For example, discrimination, right? So, like, people think there's discrimination laws. There isn't. There's discrimination policy. Now, if you turn around to someone and say, you discriminated against me because of this act or statute, you pulled yourself into that jurisdiction, you've lost the game. But if you flip it around, and especially if that person is registered and is working for a registered corporation and is an employee, and they do something to you, you say, oh, hang on a minute, mate, aren't you violating your policy of discrimination by doing that? Do you see the difference, right? So instead of claiming I'm an inhabitant, because you've just done that, and then you've taken that legal title, and that inhabitant might mean something completely different. You might not know what it means, because you didn't create it and you don't know what the meaning is. You can flip it around and say, hang on a minute, aren't you supposed to be taking on all the liabilities and duties of inhabitants? It says so in your corporate policy here. You see how you've done it? So you've thrown it back at them, but you've not accepted the title and being pulled into that jurisdiction. Does that make sense?
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Dead quick.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just dead quick.
Yeah.
Actually, the inhabitant comes from the Constitution of 1794, 14th of April.
Yes.
And we, the inhabitants, the people,
well, the people's
delegated
abstract.
our powers to the trustees to run our business.
When did I do this?
In 1794. It's not about you, it's about what we
What
did.
they did.
No, it's about what we did.
There's no
as
we,
the
mate.
people.
I'm not
What
part of the
did
we.
as the people.
No. Here's the thing, is the people is abstract, it can't be defined. So it's a trap. Because when they say we the people, I'll go, okay, we the people, okay. Can you please name these individual people? How many is it? Is my name on that list of we the people? And if it isn't, it has nothing to do with me. Like a constitution, it's not my constitution, I didn't write it, I didn't sign it, it doesn't apply to me. Remember, a constitution only operates in a PMA, Private Members Association. And if you accept a constitution, it means you accept the controlling body that created it.
I've
Okay?
just got one point on that, if I may.
Go ahead.
Is that, if I can see you sort of shaking your head, so that's fine, we all have different opinions, but do I have the right, or does Pete have the right to consent to the Constitution? Yes or no?
Yes.
Bingo.
But you also have the right to say no.
Exactly, it
Because
doesn't
it's
apply
your
to me.
power. You're on with this at the minute, right? But the power comes from we the people.
We the people's
comes from
abstract.
our authority. They have worked on the same system for hundreds of years.
Yeah, they have.
Right.
They
But
control
so
it.
have we.
The corporations,
We
the
have worked-
globalists.
No. We have worked within their system.
No.
All they've done is tricked us to release our jurisdiction. Every court is administrative. There's no jury.
It is administrative.
Can I
Absolutely.
just rebut that one? I was at a trial by jury with 12 jury members only last week.
Right? And did you pick the jury?
We didn't pick it, no.
Exactly. That's where they've got you.
Well, then that would be arbitrary. I would pick all my best mates.
It is
by your peers.
There's a statement that says fair and impartial. If I'm going to pick all of my best mates, that's not going to be impartial.
You can remove me.
Say you're guilty.
You can do that. Okay.
How did they pick them? So you asked the courts, how did you pick this jury?
Well, they picked them from the electoral roll.
No, they don't.
What do you mean they don't?
They don't.
How did they get the names for the people?
Yeah.
They have them already preset. They tell you what they're doing.
What do you mean they have more presets? Surely they would have given their names to the government at some point.
They're already preset are the juries. Right? There's a guy in there.
What does that mean, preset?
But is
Any
that trial by
jury
jury?
trial that you go to,
Jury
it
trial.
also states in the law, I am stood before 12 peers.
Yeah.
Who's above you? Nobody.
No, because the 12 peers.
Therefore, how can they be 12 peers?
They're 12 peers.
They're not.
They're equal.
Peers means the same as
The same
everyone.
Means above you because
No.
they're giving judgment against you.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there.
Yeah, some confusion going on.
Interesting point. Only because lunch has hit upon us,
Sure.
and we could probably all do a bit of fresh air, nip into a shop. But happy to engage on all of that. Very important when we come back. Just before you, if you just bear with me 1 second. When we come back, want to raise a very important issue about one of our colleagues who has had troubles, and he's offered so much to the cause. I'd like to just throw that out as the beginning of the next session and talk about what we do to help ourselves. Anyway, in the meantime, let's have a bit of fresh air, calm ourselves down.
Back at two.
Back at two.
Back at two, everyone. Back at
Thank you very much.
two.
Thank you.
I'll just turn that off.